Hey guys, and welcome to another video. I don't know if this is going to be a standalone video, if this is going to be part of the Immortal proofreading, if this is going to be a new series. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is part of the Immortal proofreading after party, because this is part of the exciting part of getting Immortal finished. But I'm on ACX. Check this out. So I'm going to claim your title. I was trying to claim Victorious, the short companion to Assassin, because the narrator for Assassin finished it, so he's going to get me the changes this week, which means the Assassin's companion needs to be done next. So I was trying to find Victorious, and look what I found. So basically, because ACX did approve the Kindle pre-order for Immortal, it's now up on Amazon, and therefore it can be found via ACX. So I'm going to claim it and Mortal and set up auditions for both of them and let the auditioners for each one know that they would be doing both. So I'm so excited. I can't hardly breathe. Okay. So claim title, work with producer. I'm gonna claim it. Okay, so you go through the agreement. I'm so freaking excited for this, you guys. I can't wait. Okay, so I gotta fill out all this information, the genre, the category, the book length, all that stuff. So the book length, that's gonna be fun. The word count, that's gonna be fun to figure out. So I'm gonna keep vlogging the process. 209,286. That is the official word count for Immortal. Now I just gotta remember it. 209,286. In case y'all were curious, that means Immortal's gonna be 22.5 hours long. That's almost the size of a quart of Silver Flames, the audiobook for that, just in case anybody was curious. Now this is the fun part. So import table of contents from Kindle. It's easier than doing it. So we have all of this. So I don't want full page image. I don't know why that's actually there. We don't need the copyright. I don't think this is going to have the glossary and character guide. So I'm going to take that out. Let's see. Ending. We don't do previews, and we're not going to do the glossary or character guide. And I don't need that. May actually have some things to fix in the ebook if the full page image and then background popped up. I may need to check that out on KDP, so I'm going to check that out. I'm also going to pull that up on Atticus real quick to check out that. All right, back to this. I think that looks good, and if it's not, I can fix that when I go through the audiobook. So next up is exclusive distribution, world rights. Okay. Receive auditions. God, this is terrifying. Okay, so now I gotta do the narrator voice preferences, the audition script, the script notes, the budget, which I'm going to do royalty share, so I can go ahead and click that, and then the note to producers, which will have a lot of information. So again, I will check in with you guys later when I have this all filled out. Okay, so it took me a little bit to get all that together, but I wanted to read you guys what I did. So first of all, the script that I chose, which took me forever because Immortal's big, I went with the first letter from the archaeologist because they got to get her voice down in the letters to her boss and how that, you know, is supposed to sound since it's a male narrator. I did the first few entries from Jamestown in 1607 because that's how you start, and that's a good way to get Nassan's original voice down. Then I did one entry from 1863 in Japan because that's the Shinsengumi. That's a very long and important time period, and that's kind of like there's a lot of new terms because it's the first entry from when he gets to Japan, so that can kind of give me how they sound for that. All the Japanese stuff, like if they can nail this, that also introduces some of the Shinsengumi members, so it'll start to show the narrator getting the voices together. I did late spring 1876, which is a scene, and I jumped to a scene between him and Crazy Horse where they talk a lot, and they have that Lakota kind of Native American sounding way of talking because that's important to the story. And then I did a fall of 67 Joppa, but it's back in time. I did a small glimpse of the scene from the origin story because I need to get the main love interest and the main villain. Their voices are important as well. So it's 6 pages and about 2,000 words, so it's a little big, but that's the script that I'm going with. So I'm going to upload the script, and I'm just being, like, how do I want to say this? Blunt and honest, because if the narrator is acceptable of all of this stuff, then it kind of shows them what they're getting in for, you know, what they're getting into, if that makes any sense. So for me, it's like, I want to just be, I don't know, myself. Like, I'm not gonna hide anything. So I said Immortal is a very long, and by the way, they have a freaking character count, so I had to trim and edit what I wrote in here and get the important bits. So Immortal is a very long and epic project that has a bit of everything. It's about a man named Hassan who is born in BC times and becomes immortal and lives to 2017. An archaeologist finds his journals, so most of the story is his journals, but some are letters from the female archaeologist to her boss. I want a male narrator with a deep, quiet, serious voice, but Immortal has a companion called Mortal, which follows the story of Immortal, and it also has other companion books I'm currently writing, so I'd prefer to keep the narrator the same. Whoever I choose will become the voice of Nassan in Immortal, Mortal, and I hope to keep him for the other companion books too in the series. Immortal is a prequel to the Valiant series, an epic fantasy series, so Nassan will join with the other characters from the Valiant series to fight evil, like Lord of the Rings storyline with Marvel structure, so think of Mortal and Immortal and all its companions as the origin storylines of Nassan. It's a lot to commit to, especially for royalty share, but the book is amazing. For the script, I did the first letter from the archaeologist to make sure the male narrator can get Roxanne's voice, the archaeologist, down. Nassan's first journals from Jamestown, 1607, an entry from 1603 in Japan, from 1876 in the Black Hills with the Lakota and Crazy Horse, as though those are two very different cultures, but very important to the story, and a final entry from a brief scene with dialogue between the main villain Tarak and Eshi as Nassan's the main villain, scene between the main villain Tarak and Nassan's love interest Eshi, as their voices and Nassan's are most important. The book goes through a lot of historical time periods and cultures, so the narrator will hopefully be able to do different accents as Nassan fits in with whatever time and culture he's in. There's a lot of foreign words, Latin when he's in Rome, Lakota in the 1870s, and a lot of Japanese words. If you can't do an accent well, then don't worry about it, but Nassan's overall tone, while it should still stay Nassan, it should change through the different time periods he's in. I prefer communicating with the narrator, and I'm happy to answer questions and want to work closely. As for Immortal, the tone is serious. Nassan goes through a lot in his life, a lot of grief and suicidal thoughts. It's a historical fantasy romance, so there's clean romance and will have romantic tones at appropriate times, but there's a lot of fight scenes and battles in many eras, so those will need to be exciting, and there's moments of pain, grief, torture, so those will need to have proper emotion and tones as well. There's times of laughter, joy, so it has a wide range of emotions for the narrator to show and readers to feel. Also has a huge cast of characters, so I hope the narrator can do different voices for them, including historical figures, but I want to work closely with the narrator to be historically accurate for the ones that are real and develop voices for the ones that are fictional. So I did royalty share, and then my note to producers, I'm doing a Kickstarter pre-order campaign from July 8th to August 5th. My overall goal is to get as many readers, sales as possible. Then I'll do the official Amazon pre-order for the second week in September, and release the book on September 24th after all the summer hype building up to it. I run a YouTube channel where I'll be releasing videos. I have giveaways planned, and will be promoting all over social media during this time. I'm still writing the companion books and scripts for a TV show, not expecting that to go anywhere, but you never know. Years ago, the Valiant series was free on Wattpad, and one of the books got featured, so the series took off. Immortal was super popular by readers and super loved, and since then I've gathered interest in my inner circle of author and reader friends, and have had it edited by 2 professional editors, each doing 2 rounds of edits to polish the book to perfection. I've also been trying to do YouTube interviews with the narrators of the other Valiant books if they want. If not, it's okay, to help gain interest in narration, narrators, and the hard work you guys all do. I also hope the deadline for the book will come out when it's released I'm reading through this to edit these, on September 24th, but I understand it's such a long project, so if it needs to take longer, then so be it. I also have Mortal out already. Feel free to audition for that. It's already been released, so we'll be doing it after Immortal, as Immortal is the priority. My stomach's in knots, guys. I'm so nervous. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do if I don't get any auditions. Or if I get, like, non-professional ones. Oh my gosh. Review and poster title. I can't do this. I'm not kidding. I can't hardly breathe. Okay, so notes there. And hopefully it'll have my notes for the audition. Oh yes, okay, notes from the rights holder. So that's all my notes for that. And audition script. Whew. Oh gosh. I've never been so nervous in my life. Oh. Okay, so when the auditions come out, they'll be... I feel like going to run and hide. Oh. Okay. I'm so nervous. My stomach is like twisting. So I'm gonna get Mortal up because that could draw in different types of narrators from that end. And the more the merrier. So I'm going to claim Mortal, do the same thing. And in that one, I'll mention that, hey, I'm taking auditions for this book, but this will be like the priority is going to be Immortal. Like, I'm just going to release all of that. So yeah, I will check in with you guys later when I get Mortal done. So it's 9:03. I'll check in with you guys later. Okay, guys. So I just posted Mortal. And I got it up and my stomach is still in knots. For reference, Mortal is estimated to be 2.9 hours long. Compared to Immortal, which is 22 hours long. That's the size difference between these books. But they're both in review, so they're not posted or live yet. They're going to be reviewed by ACX. So I will let you guys know when they're up, basically when ACX notifies me. So I'll check with you guys later. This is for Immortal audiobook. I think I got an email and it said something about audition and it was from ACX. So I think we have an audition that came in. I don't know if it's for Immortal or Mortal, but I'm so scared and I'm so curious. And now I have a lisp. So we're going to see. Oh. Okay, that's in production. Okay, Victorious has officially been accepted by Brandon. So I got to send him the script for that. Open for auditions. Okay. I'm a little concerned. There's no auditions for Immortal, but there are 3 new auditions for Mortal. So it's a little concerning. I'm going to listen to them. I don't have permission from the narrators to play their auditions in this video. Once I choose a narrator, then I'll go through and ask them and stuff. I don't want to mess with that because it'll extra complicate things for them. So I'm going to listen to them and then I'll just let you guys know what I think so far. So I'm hoping that they will audition for Immortal as well. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm going to listen to them. I'm so excited. I'm going to grab my book actually from my shelf up here. I can't get my finger. Yeah, from up here. And we'll see how this goes. Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So I think I've already done a few videos in the Immortal audiobook, like all about doing the Immortal audiobook. So I don't know what day this is. However, this is like day 3, maybe, because I think I've done maybe 2. This isn't just like the 3rd day or the 4th day, whatever day it is. That's not just the only days I've been working on this. So basically I will fill you guys in on all the details in a minute. But I put Immortal and Mortal up for auditions, and I let that go for quite a while. I'm actually going to look really quickly here and see. My internet is actually really slow at the moment. So I put them up for auditions, and at first I didn't get any auditions for Immortal. They were only coming in for Mortal, and that made me upset and panicked. And then the ones that were coming in for Mortal were low quality. And I appreciate everybody who auditioned and who put effort into recording the audition and stuff, because the one for like Immortal is a very long audition script. Mortal chapter 1 is actually pretty long too for audition script length. So basically I appreciated everybody who put effort in, but I can't deny that the Mortal auditions that were coming in were not up to par. Like, they weren't as clear and crisp as some of the professionals that I've worked with, because the narrators that I have worked with, for the Valiant series, I've been very blessed to work with a lot of pros. So I was really worried, and I was also worried that, like, well, nobody's auditioning for Immortal, so is that bad, you know? And I did have a few that I asked for Mortal. I did ask if they could audition for Immortal as well, because I figured, okay, this is what I'm going to have to work with, so I'm going to have to choose somebody. So I chose I think the one, maybe one or two that I liked the best, and asked them to audition for Immortal, and they did, and I appreciated that. So I know in the past I've had that issue. I think it was with Samurai, but one of the other books, where I wasn't getting auditions either. So I had to deliberately go and find narrators and ask. And that's the good thing about ACX, is if you're not getting any auditions in, because sometimes you will, like, I think it was Hunter, I got tons and tons and tons, or it was Assassin, one of those two. I was just getting tons, and I didn't have to do anything. And then there's other books that I'm just not getting any auditions at all. So when that happens, you can go and browse narrators, and you can really do like a filter where, like, male or female voice, what kind of accent, what kind of age range you want, what kind of genre they primarily narrate in. And that is important. Like, you don't want to, like, get a person who only reads nonfiction to do like a heavy fantasy, right? Because then they're not going to be used to all the nuances there, and vice versa. So I searched out a bunch of narrators, and I asked so many, because I had to do this once before, and I know that generally speaking, either people won't respond, or they say no because they're not interested in royalty share projects, because they don't get paid for that at all. They basically only get paid when the audiobook sells. So it's a big ask. And so a lot of professionals, there are some, and what I found out, especially from the narrators of Rogue, what I found out is that a lot of, and I think Timothy McKean, I have an interview with him on this channel, so I'll pop that up here. They'll do main projects for people, then they're getting paid, and then in between those projects they'll do royalty share projects to help out authors and stuff like that, and then that way they have some that they've gotten paid outright, but then they have other books they'll choose wisely to make sure that the book they're doing a royalty share is going to sell, so that they have a constant income coming in. So that makes sense. So sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll find some that are at that time period in between big projects to work on a royalty share. But my point is that you always ask way more than what you're hoping to get a response from, because there's going to be people who won't answer, there's going to be people who say no. So it's like looking for beta readers or ARC readers, right? You're going to invite more people to do it than what you know you're going to get a response from. So that's what I did. And with Immortal, we're covering history and cultures, so I needed somebody who can do different accents. So I decided to ask different accented people. Some of them did American accents, some of them did British accents, some of them do both. I found some people who do Japanese accents, both Japanese people and then non-Japanese people who can do the accent. And I know I want a male narrator, so I didn't even look at female narrators. Sorry, everybody. So I went all over the place, and most of the people that I heard back from said no. There was one guy who said no initially, because there are a lot of authors who will put their book on here and they just want a narrator for their book for free, and they'll do royalty share, but they're not going to promote it and the book's not going to sell. And so a lot of people, I've encountered a lot of narrators, not a lot, but I've encountered a few that make assumptions about you from the start and think that, I've had one lady when I was doing, I think it was Samurai, respond very negatively, because she made assumptions about me and assume that I'm one of those, I don't know what you call them, like people who just mooch off the royalty share concept just to get a free narrator, and they don't actually put in the work to promote the book and try to sell the book, if that makes sense. So you sometimes will get narrators who make assumptions about you and think that you're not gonna try to promote the book and actually sell. So one of the people originally said no, and then I came back with like a huge explanation of my marketing plan, my Kickstarter, how the Valiant series actually did go Wattpad famous. So I talked about that. So if you have any like marketing plans or credentials or anything like that is the time to bring it up. And he changed his mind. He actually said that's exactly what I'm looking for, which implies that he really wanted to know, like, he wants to work with an author who's going to put in the marketing work, and I can totally understand that. So he ended up changing his mind and auditioning, and at that I had a lot of responses, and so I had about 5 or 6 what am I going to say? I don't know how many auditions, but I had about 5 or 6 people audition for Immortal, kind of scattered. A couple of them auditioned directly to my email and sent me, and I like messaging via email because ACX is not very, it's hard to get notifications on whether you've gotten messaged or not. And then this time I actually had issues where it didn't send my message and I didn't hear back from somebody and I thought they were blowing me off, and it turns out my message never sent in the first place, and that's delayed talking to them. So I've done this for weeks, and so I was waiting to make a decision because I ended up having 2 guys I was stuck between. And so I'm gonna let you listen to some of the original auditions for Immortal, and then some of the ones I got going in for Immortal, and then we're gonna kind of analyze the 2 that I did get. And I had to wait to do this part of the video because I have to get permission from everybody to use their samples. I don't think it, even though it's my book, I don't think it's right to use it without their permission, especially for the narrators I did not choose. So I've heard back from a lot of them. I'll go through the ones that did give me permission and we'll look at that. But I've chosen a narrator. The Kickstarter for Immortal is ready to go on the 15th, which I'm using to offer pre-order gifts for all of you guys. And it's a Kickstarter edition of Immortal that won't be released. So the Kickstarter is going to go live on Monday, the 15th of July. It is the 12th. It's Friday right now. So I've got 3 days. And the sooner that I can get my narrator started on Immortal, the sooner they can get it done. He needs to, I want to get it done by September, the end of September. The last Tuesday in September is when Immortal's launching. I'd like to launch it ebook, paperback, audiobook, like all the forms. Maybe even hardback at that point too. So the sooner I can get him started, the sooner he can get started, and it's a big book. So before we even start, one of the reasons why I chose him was he mentioned that because he knows from the audition script there's a lot of foreign terms in Immortal, and most narrators will have you give them a list of all the characters and all of the terms that they need to know how to pronounce anyway. That's a pronunciation guide is what that's called, so that's normal. He wants to go over all the words, and he told me that he has a buddy at the Smithsonian, which is obviously huge, that can fact check to make sure that we're pronouncing things correct. So that's important, and that was one of many reasons why I chose the narrator that I did, which we'll get into in a minute. And then I suggested as well, because I already have a glossary and a character guide for the book that's at the end of the book, I'm going to send him both of those individually, and he did really good with the characterization, but some of them are going to need to be changed or adjusted. And I know for a fact from editing the first 5 Valiant book audiobooks, with those there was not a huge cast of characters, so I didn't have to change the narrator, like give them directions on on changing a character's voice here and there. But with Immortal, there's a lot of side characters, and there's a lot of different characters in different eras. And so I knew that the easiest way to do this, instead of recording the whole book, and then I listen to the whole book, and then I just make a note of all the mistakes that are made, or all of the character voices that weren't correct, and okay, you gotta fix it, they're supposed to sound like this, that would mean more editing for the narrator later. So my idea was to take the character guide and just add in a couple lines of dialogue for each speaking character. And so as he's going through the pronunciation guide, as he's going through the character guide, he can then read off a couple lines from each character and make sure we get the voices correct. So then I can say, okay, this character needs to be that, and so we can nail that before we even get to narrating the book. So because I need to get that to him over this weekend, like tonight, it would be ideal so he can get started as soon as he can. I need to get that done first. So I'm going to do that first, and then I will go through the messages, see who is okay with me using their sample in this video, and then we will go over the different samples and then who I chose and why and all the little details, and I'll walk you guys through the process of what I chose. But for now, I have to get, gosh, I've got like 8 messages on here. I have to get, hey, it finally popped up though. I gotta get the glossary and the character guide together, and then with the character guide I have to add bits of dialogue for each character. So I don't know if I'm gonna grab Immortal, because I put Immortal up for now on my shelf over there. So I don't know if I'm gonna do that or just use the ebook. I think I may open up the ebook. So yeah, Immortal had 5 auditions total, plus the 2 or 3 that got sent to me via email, and then Mortal had 8. So, and they were listed on June 25th, and it is July 12th. So I left them up there for quite a long time while I was making because at first I had to wait to get anybody to respond and then people to respond for Immortal, and then I messaged a bunch of people, and then they didn't obviously couldn't just audition right away. So it took all the people that I messaged that did say yes, it took them all a couple days to respond. And then when I finally got 2 different auditions from the 2 guys I got stuck between, I took a while to decide, while I was also working on getting the Kickstarter together, and because I needed to pick one and figure out how much I needed to raise in the Kickstarter to pay the guy outright. But before that, I needed to know who I was doing, and then I had to decide between them. And then they didn't do the whole audition script, so I had to ask them to record the whole, so I could figure out which one does characterization better. And then it took them a couple of days to do that over a weekend. So yeah, that's why it's taken me this long to actually get to this. So I really need to get this done. I'll check in with you guys later, and then we'll go over all the good things. Hey guys, so really quick update. It is 10:38 and I just now finished the glossary. So the glossary had all the terms in there, but I had to add in how to pronounce them. So what I did was, for most of them, like Japanese and Chinese, I was able to go on Google Translate, type in the word, and even though some of the translations are actually wrong, I did not use Google Translate in any of this, by the way, for the actual words. They did have like a speaker, and so I was able to double check my pronunciations on that and then write them down for my narrator. So I did that. The Lakota isn't on there, but I have a special site that I go to that actually lists out the word and the pronunciation, definition, all that stuff. So I did that. I couldn't find Gaelic, like Scottish Gaelic, like that's on Google Translate, but there's no sound button. I Googled and researched and I did everything and couldn't find a single site that actually had the pronunciations for the Gaelic. And I ended up asking Google Gemini, of all things, the AI Google Gemini, and it gave me a link to several different sites. I found one site and I was able to type in the numbers, because the character counts down from 10. So I got from 10 all the way down to 1 through that site, but the rest of the words weren't on there. So that's crazy. So yeah, that was insane. So I just now got done with that. I haven't even started the character guide yet, so I'm going to go ahead and send the pronunciation guide to my narrator, because it may take me till tomorrow to get the guide to him, but at least he can get started at the pronunciation guide. So that's the update. I got to get back to work. I'll check in with you guys in a bit. Hey guys, so this is still for Immortal audiobook. It is 2:46 a.m. I stopped for dinner with my husband, but I've been working since 1:20, I want to say. So since the last time I vlogged, and I worked, and then I stopped for dinner, and then I started at 1:20, and I've been working until just now 2:45. I got past the Shinsengumi on the character guide. So I'll start from Crazy Horse, which is 1880, and then forward to do the rest of the character guide. I was going to stop before the Shinsengumi, but I figured I'd go through and get it done. I'm getting drowsy, otherwise I would keep going, and it makes me like I need to think in order to really figure out, based on the character personalities that I've developed and their appearance, and some of them are historical, so based on the history of the characters, or the history of the real people behind them, figuring out what they would sound like. And I'm not good at describing like voices and sound, so it's been pretty tough, but I'm got through it with enough detail. And with each one, not only am I describing what the voice sounds like so the narrator knows, but I'm giving a line or sometimes a few lines of dialogue, so that way he can again read it off like a test, because that would be the easier way of dealing with it. So my point is, I'm done for the evening. I'm so tired, I'm about to fall asleep. So I'm not going to go over all of the auditions that I have permission to show you guys and the process that I went through to get to this point yet. But when I finish the character guide and send that to the narrator tomorrow night, hopefully I'll have to send off my newsletters, and get ready for the Kickstarter. But after that, hopefully I'll have some more time and can send those off. As it is now, I still have to upload a YouTube video, and I wanted to get a little bit of writing done tonight for this project I'm working on. And I'm already ready to be done. So, and I have to get up early tomorrow, and I'm tired already. So, and I want to read as well, which I'm tired too. So it's crazy. I will check in with you guys later. Hey guys, so it is July 13th. It's 8:23. I just got home. So my husband family, my in-laws, had a barbecue at the campground that they stay at, and we went there, we went swimming, we went and got our groceries, we put everything away, we came back, we had dinner, we played, we swam, we visited, everything's crazy. So we just got back and I took a shower. because obviously the pool water and all that stuff, but there's a river, so we got to see that. And then all of our nieces and nephews, there was a bunch of them playing in the pool, and I'm exhausted. I don't have the energy of a kid anymore, I swear. So I was just I wanted to read Iron Flame because I'm actually like really enjoying, I really enjoyed Fourth Wing, so I'll pop my review here if it's up by the time you guys are watching this. If not, it'll be up soon, so be looking for that. But I started Iron Flame, and I tried to read a little bit today. Turns out I don't like reading outside. I don't know why. So my plan is to read a little bit tonight, just take it easy, because we got to get up early tomorrow because we have a wedding to go to. So I'm not sure if I'll get the character guide done tonight or not. It is Saturday. I just remembered I'm supposed to send off my newsletters. So I need to do that because the Kickstarter starts on Monday. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then I may skip working on the character. I don't know. We'll see how I feel after I get this done. So I'll check in with you guys later, actually. So it is August 12th. And I'm getting ready to look right now. The last time that I vlogged about this was June 25th. So basically it's been all summer. It was June 25th, apparently the last time I vlogged, and it is now August 12th. So, I don't remember what was going on the last time that I vlogged, but, basically, I had a huge decision to make about the narrators of Immortal, which I think might have been the last time I vlogged and what was going on there. So, okay, I gotta put all this back. Okay, so I think I thought I vlogged more about this, but the last one I actually have on my computer was just me getting an audition in. So, long story short, I put Mortal and Immortal up on ACX, and I drew in a bunch of auditions for Mortal. Immortal wasn't getting any hits, so I just went through and sent tons of messages to different narrators. I went to their profile and listened to all their samples, and for the ones that I liked, I sent them private messages. A lot of them said no, but some of them said yes and did audition for Immortal, to the point where there was two that narrated, Johnny and BJ, and I loved them both, and I literally couldn't decide between them, and it was tearing my heart apart, and I didn't know what to do. So I was like in this debate period for a very long time, in June apparently. And eventually I did decide to go with BJ. BJ was going to help me. I was planning the Kickstarter for Immortal at the time, and BJ agreed to help me promote the Kickstarter on day one to help us get fully funded, and he told me his going rate, and so the idea was that we'll set like a $500 goal, so that way I can get fully funded in the first day, and then have the stretch goal of the audiobook added later at like $5,000, whatever the whole amount was, $5,000 ish. I'd have to do $6,000 because the Kickstarter fees, but that was the idea. So day one, we promoted the Kickstarter, and he accepted the contract for Immortal, and so then I started working on the Kickstarter, and over the last 30 days, because I've got 40 some odd hours left, so the Kickstarter is going to be ending on August 14th, and it's now the 12th, so not a whole lot of time left. I've been emailing back and forth with BJ, my official choice. I did tell Johnny that I want to work with him later in the series, so I told him that. And he was totally understanding and everything. So me and BJ have been emailing back and forth about all the details and stuff. So it's going to be royalty share because we didn't raise enough money, which was slightly disappointing, but it is what it is. So I went through, and he asked me to make a glossary of all the terms. And I already had a glossary and a character guide in Immortal because it's so big, the readers even need that. And all I did with the glossary was add in the pronunciations for all the foreign words. So I went through, literally, I double checked, but Google Translate did line up with all my fact-checking things. So I went through, fun fact, actually Google Translate does not have Gaelic. I had to look up a special site for that one. I also didn't use it for Lakota because Lakota is almost a dead language at this point. I have my sources on that one, so that was no big deal. And I'm a little bit more familiar with that one. I'm also learning Japanese on Duolingo, but that didn't help me one bit. So anyways, here we are. So all I did was, and I'll show you guys, but as you can see here, I already had the glossary divided by the different time periods, so like origin story, Joppa to Rome, that sort of thing. All the foreign terms are in italics in the book and in the glossary. So all in it, I define the words, like Heka is the Egyptian word for magic. All I did was I added how to pronounce it. And I did that for this whole guide. So this guide is 1,000 words. So as you can see, that is the whole guide. So I did that, sent it to him, and then with the character guide, what I did was, which this one, some has spoilers in it, but so note some character descriptions contain spoilers, but let's, okay. All right. We're going to go to one that actually has a list of things. Hold on just a second. Okay. So, okay. So I did take a note. If it doesn't have dialogue samples, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I wrote down the name, and the, like, who they were, description, whatever is in the book about them. So for each character that had a speaking part, all I did was I added, a bit of dialogue from that character. So that way, that's only for the characters that have a speaking part. If there's no dialogue samples, like for Anne, then that don't have a speaking part. So that way, because I've done audiobooks before, Hunter, Shifter, Samurai, and Rogue, and I'm currently working on Assassin. There was delays with that one, and then each has a short story. So there's Forgotten, which is before Hunter, there's Sightless, which is after Hunter, and then there's Reclaimed, Healed, Victorious, and Bound. So I've done 10 audiobooks at this point, even though they're short. The shorts are still audiobooks. And I know from experience that trying to figure out details of things after they've recorded is not the way to go. That is a huge mistake. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've learned. I have how to do audiobooks here. I'll put a link in the description below for the first episode. It's a whole series. I'll be doing more in the future. So my thought was that, okay, say I didn't say anything, and we go through the whole audiobook. Immortal's 22 hours long. It's a long audiobook. And then there's a mistake. I don't like how this character sounds, and I don't like how that character sounds. I can't ask the audiobook narrator to change it then. It would be too much work. And in BJ's case, he's a professional. Like, he's a pro. So he no longer opens up the possibilities of that. So my thought was that, okay, we can go through the character guide, and he can, if he wants to do it via like a Zoom call, or he can record it privately and send it to me, just go through all the speaking parts, nail down the accent, the tone, whatever, and just nail down the character voices before we start recording. Then once he starts recording, then he knows how everybody sounds, and it'll just be smooth sailing. So that was my thought. So I made all of those, sent it to him, and then several weeks went by. Basically, after day one of the Kickstarter, it was like there was a few conversations, but his life got busy, my life got busy, a lot was going on. So we didn't actually talk until a couple days ago, when we finally had a chance to, okay, let's have a Zoom call, let's talk, let's kind of hash things out. So that was today, just a few seconds ago. So we started at 8, and it's 8:45, and I've done a lot since then, so it was about 8:30. And so that gave us the chance. We talked about everything. So he wants me to record the glossary. He's an audio learner, so he learns audibly. I learn visually, so that's very different. But he wants me to record basically the glossary for him, so he can learn and like get the pronunciations, like hear them correctly. So I'm gonna go through each one again, and like I have the pronunciations, but like seeing Heka, like it looks like Heka, but like, is that right, or is it Heka? Like it looks like Heka. This says Heka, which I know is correct. So I'm just gonna go back, listen to it a couple times from the professional, so that way I know that I'm doing the right thing. And he said it's important just that I'm happy, but I want to be authentic. So I got to go through the whole glossary and send him the audiobook guide. And then I told him the character thing, and that's when he mentioned that due to things that have happened before, he doesn't allow, like once he records a voice, it's pretty set in stone. He doesn't offer the option for the author to like, I don't like how you did this character voice, so you can change it, because then you have to re-record all of their speaking parts. And I said that's not like, yeah, that's why I did that, because so we can just go through all the character voices and figure it out beforehand. And he offered to record all of the voices, and like he's like, if you want things to change, we can have, you know, you can tell me, give me notes, and then we'll keep working until we nail down, because I want you to be happy with what you're getting. And I appreciated that he said that so much. It means a lot. So that's what he's gonna be working on. That's what I'm gonna be working on. We're gonna get together when we both get our homework done, talk again. So he said that he's gonna try to record this in September and October. He's got it releases in November, so he's gonna get a bunch recorded in September if there's a week that he has, because he has a whole schedule. Like he's a pro. This is scary for me, but because I've worked with one pro before with Hunter. Timothy McKean was amazing to work with, but it's just like BJ seems like a higher level pro than I've ever worked with before, and it's really intimidating. But he's got a whole schedule, so he's blocking out, I can't remember what he said, but it was like a week of time, something like that. Don't quote me on that. To record the book as much as he can, and then he always hires a proof listener to listen to all of it, go through the actual book and catch all the mistakes and stuff. With the other ones, I proofed to listen to them myself, and I still obviously will. So that'll be the last set of ears on it. So he did mention the price of that. We've kind of had some conversations about that. So sorry, I was deep in thought. I spaced out. So yeah, we've got all that figured out, and then hopefully I think we'll be able to meet the November deadline, so that way the audiobook comes out with the main book. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Clearly, that's not what happened, and something went wrong. Keep watching to find out exactly what went wrong here.
So that's kind of where I'm at with the Immortals audiobook right now. I gotta go through the glossary, and then he'll be getting me the character guide. And then nothing will pretty much happen until he's ready to start recording, which will be September. The first week in September, which I'll be busy, but that's my anniversary week. So yeah, that's basically everything that's happened with Immortals audiobook. So I will check in with you guys later. I have a couple more days in the Kickstarter, and then I told him, like, after that I'm free. I'm gonna take a break, but that'll give me time to actually get this character guide or the glossary recorded and everything. So I'm not gonna do it tonight or probably the next couple of days. But I'll check in with you guys when I actually get the Immortal glossary done, and then I'll check in when he gets me the character guide voices and I listen to them and go through them. He did record the Zoom call. He asked me for permission. Yeah, I was nervous because I wanted to have it recorded, but I didn't know how to ask him, and I was so nervous, but he asked me first, and I was like, yeah, I was actually gonna wonder that myself. And he's like, yeah, I'll get it to you, and you can cut it, splice it, whatever you want to do. It was kind of funny. He was really easy to talk to, easy to get along with, so I'm pretty excited about it. And yeah, that's pretty much everything, so I will check with you guys later.
Hey guys, so this is Immortal Audiobook Day 8, and it's September 7th for me, and I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update. I don't know if I vlogged about this, but my narrator for Immortal, BJ, quit, and I got the email on my birthday, which was really sucky, and so, yeah, he basically quit on me. So he basically asked what I needed to cancel the contract. So I contacted ACX. ACX got back to me, and so I checked their email today, and they basically said that they can't cancel the contract until they talk to the narrator to confirm with him. And so really nothing I can do, so I forwarded that email to him because they have some instructions that he needs to follow. So I sent him an email, forwarded their email to him as well. I had also, when I first heard this news from BJ, I sent a message to, I sent an email to, because at the time that I chose BJ, I was choosing between BJ and Johnny, another narrator, and the reason why I chose BJ over Johnny was mostly just because BJ promised to help me with the Kickstarter, and his characterization was just slightly more on point, but it's not like, I mean, Johnny's was amazing as well. So that's really all it was. And so with that in mind, I did send an email to Johnny when I heard from BJ. That was days ago, weeks ago, whatever, the last time my birthday, basically, or after my birthday, but either way. So today I sent a follow-up email to Johnny. At the same time, back when I first got this news, I also had sent a message via ACX, so Amazon's audiobook self-publishing platform. to a man, a narrator named Silas, who actually auditioned for Mortal. And he mentioned that he was a Twitch streamer and he likes to stream his audiobook process. And I'm a YouTuber, so I was really like enjoying that. At the time, he had auditioned after I'd already chosen BJ, and we had accepted the contract for Immortal, but he hadn't accepted the contract for Mortal yet, just because he hadn't gotten around to it. And so I told Silas that, you know, I've already chosen a narrator, but I really loved his audition. I loved the sound and the voice and everything. So I told him I would love to work with him on the next Valiant book, left it at that. But after I heard back from BJ, I sent a message to Silas as well, letting him know about that my narrator quit. I'm looking for another one, that sort of thing. I did get a message back from him and he is interested, but he had a lot of questions. So I answered his questions. I went through ACX and I also sent messages to all the other narrators that I did enjoy. So basically it's just kind of a waiting game to see if I can hear back. If I don't, I'm going to message narrators and basically start from square one. So that's really all there is to it. I'm not happy about it. I'm really heartbroken and hurt by BJ and I feel betrayed, but there's really nothing I can do. I just got to keep pressing on, and I want to show the whole progress because, you know, I'm really like open about this on this channel, like the process of being a writer, you know, the good and the bad. So I will check in with you guys when I have something to report. It is September 7th, so we really need to get on this if we want to hit the November 19th deadline, so we'll see what happens. Hey guys, so this is another day in Immortal's audiobook. I don't know what day, but I'll check here. I think maybe 9, but it'll pop up here on the screen. So it is September 8th for me. It's 1 a.m. I haven't gone to bed yet. So bad news. I got an email back from Johnny who basically randomly changed his mind and doesn't want to do it for royalty share. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating. I can understand where the narrators are coming from, but it's just been a lot of rejections lately. I heard back from Silas, who will give it a go. He's kind of wary about the deadline and stuff, and I told him that, you know, if we don't get it done in time for its release in November, then that's fine. I talked with a few other narrators, and I have a few who are interested, so I've basically been emailing, messaging, and then sending out the audition script, the pronunciation guide, and the character guide, which also includes dialogue from all the characters. So that way the narrator can get the character voices down first before we even start recording. So I sent that to a few people, and it's kind of just a waiting game right now. So yeah, not much to report, but it's stressing me out. Still haven't heard from BJ, so I can't do anything on ACX, and it's really frustrating because he was the one who emailed me wanting to quit, and now that I need confirmation from him in order for ACX to be willing to break the contract, he's silent, and it basically ties me and like it's trapped me, and I literally can't do anything, and I'm so frustrated right now. I cannot tell you guys how frustrated I am. And one of the narrators, I won't name names, but did when I told him my circumstances, he did say that that what BJ has done is unethical in their profession or something like that. So I'm just really frustrated. I don't know. So if I don't hear from him tomorrow, I'm going to do a follow-up email, and then I'm also going to message him on ACX. Not that he's going to respond, but I got to try, and I'm just hoping and praying that I can find the right narrator, that this will be a good thing, like with Assassin, like the first narrator, Ethan, I think his name was. I really mourned like losing him for Assassin because he had become the voice of Aiden. He did so well with Pierce and Naylene, side characters in the middle of the book that are literally other chosen characters in another book. So their scenes in Assassin are small but important. And when he quit, I was devastated, but that led me to find Brandon, and Brandon has become the new voice of Aiden, who did even better with Pierce, who did even better with Naylene, who did even better with Aiden, and I can't even remember what Ethan sounded like, and Brandon's the only Aiden in my head now, and I wouldn't have found him without that, and so I'm really grateful. And then like with the designer situation, I was devastated, it was stressful, and to the point where I almost quit publishing and all this stuff. And it was actually in my Immortal vlogs, as I edited round 1 of Immortal. I didn't realize that was going on at the same time in November of 2023. So I'll have that, those vlogs up here pop up, because I didn't realize that was going on at the same time. It was devastating, but that led me to find Renz, my current designer, who is amazing, and like the books are much better for it. The covers and everything are better for it. So as you can see up there. So I'm hoping that this will be one of those situations where Immortal will be better for it. Jace will have the right voice, the right narrator, who will be the voice of him for Immortal and Mortal. And that it'll all end up okay and be a good thing. But I'm really worried that I won't get the quality that I'm looking for, that I really want, that the other books have. So, yeah. I don't know. That's all I got for you guys. Check in with you guys later. Hey everyone, so this is day 10 of Immortal's audiobook situation, which is a situation right now. So I don't think I talked yesterday, but it's September 10th right now. And yeah, a lot actually happened yesterday. I was just so caught up in it. I didn't vlog, I don't think. But essentially, I have one audition from a narrator who already auditioned for Mortal and Immortal, and I was honest. He asked me why I had chosen BJ over him, and I admit, I told him the truth, which mostly was the Kickstarter, and BJ did really good characterization, and then the audio quality, and he asked me for feedback, personal feedback, so he could improve, and I told him, well, the audio quality is primarily what, my issue was with you, and so he got some new equipment, and so he wanted to re-audition with the new equipment. And so this has been days ago. And so he sent me the audition yesterday, so I got a chance to listen to it as well. And then I also got an email the other day. I think I told you guys about it. I went and searched for random narrators because I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to have to start over in this process. So I'd found one, sent him a message. He got back to me, sent me an email, told me to call him. I don't like calling people on the phone, but I had this gut feeling. So I called him last night. We talked for 36 minutes and it went really, really well. So, I'm hoping that he'll audition. I haven't heard from him. I was getting ready to send a checkup email just to see if he got all the materials I sent him and stuff. So I heard from him, and then another one of the narrators that had auditioned, I think, for Mortal, but not Immortal. He auditioned, and I really, really like him. So I'm waiting to give this other narrator named Alan some time to audition. The Silas one just had a baby, so he's probably not going to get to it for a couple of weeks. So I'm really hoping Alan will audition and everything. So, and then ACX support did have to wait until BJ got back to them to cancel the contract, but he did, and they canceled the contract, and then it gave me the rights to Mortal and Immortal, which I never lost them, but it's just how it works. So they canceled the contract. I got them both back, so I resubmitted them on ACX, and they still have to review and approve that. So they were in review yesterday. They approved today, and that's when I got a new audition from a random person who did a fantastic job, but he's an older British guy. So basically imagine David Attenborough, who narrates all of the nature documentaries. Put a clip if I can find one. That's what this guy sounded like. And it's so wonderful. It's just a little too old. That's not Jace's voice at all. But I love the sound of the voice. I mean, it fits really well for certain things. So that was the one I woke up to this morning. So yeah, that's basically everything. Not really much to do. I'm waiting for Alan's audition, and at that point I will have to choose between him, Matthew, and the other guy, Dylan, who are the main three at the moment. It looks like Johnny's never emailed me back, so I think he basically had decided not to do this for royalty share. I may do a video about that because it's kind of frustrating. The way that royalty share authors seem to be treated sometimes by certain narrators, and in general, I get the narrator's perspective because you're not getting paid. Immediately, it's after, and I understand certain people will come on here and take advantage of that. But when you are interacting with a professional author who is marketing and putting forth the effort to make sales for you, I do feel like there should be a level of professionalism that is just not... It's hard to explain. It feels like a class. Like I am beneath them. My book is beneath them just because we're royalty share. And it's well, I don't have time for that. I can't do that right now. It's I don't know. Some narrators, I don't like the way that I'm getting treated, but it's fine. It's fine. So, yeah. But... that's pretty much all I've got to report right now. So I will let you guys know when anything important happens. I would play some of these examples. I just haven't gotten permission from the people yet. And at the moment, it's more important for me to talk to them about my choice and whether they can do this or not, rather than, oh, hey, can I play your, I don't need to worry about the YouTube videos right now. That can wait. I got to choose somebody. But the conversation with Alan went really well. He is such a talkative, extroverted, fun guy. I don't like talking on the phone, and he made me very comfortable. And fun fact, like when I called him, I was so nervous. I hate talking on the phone. I'm super, super, super shy. I hate talking on the phone. I am so shy over the phone. But he didn't even say hello. When he first answered, he goes, I'm assuming this is Joanna White. And I'm just like, oh my God. So he was hilarious. And I really like, for me, the communication and the camaraderie and working with someone is really, really important. That's why, like, the editor that I have now, H.A. Pruitt, and me work really well. We have a good system. Renz and me work really well, which is my cover designer. And so all of the narrators that I've had for the Valiant series, Timothy for Hunter, Megan for Shifter, Colleen for Samurai, Brandon for Assassin, and then the team, Alana and Adrian for Rogue. I've all had really good communication and camaraderie with them. And, I'm trying to encourage myself, because the situation with Assassin, Ethan, had recorded the whole book, couldn't do the fixes, didn't want to have a, unedited audiobook thing. So, he canceled the contract, and I had to start all over, found a new one, and landed on Brandon. And Brandon is now the voice of Aiden, and the story of Assassin would not be the same without him. So it ended up being a good thing in the end, and I'm really happy for that. And I'm hoping that that's what will happen here with Immortal. It's just a little stressful because it comes out November 19th. So, and it's September 10th. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I will check in with you guys next time.
Literally, I had stopped recording, opened up my email, was getting ready to send a check-in email with them when it said, it literally, like, when you open up your email and you're sending a reply, like, if they reply to you, it'll actually pop up with a notification, and you'll have to click show because you're already in the email, writing an email. I was literally typing the email when he emailed me and got me his audition, and he sent me all this stuff, and we had briefly mentioned, like, he had said something about being like an audio, like a sound, like music too. So he did mention that he would try to play around with like having a specific music introduction to Immortal, so it has a sound, and he does a few sound effects like doors opening and closing and stuff. So he sent me all these audio things, and I'm getting ready to listen to it, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm gonna check. Okay, hopefully I can share this with you guys, but I'm gonna do this, and We'll see. I'll let you guys know. Hey guys, this is for Immortal's audiobook. Sorry about the bad lighting, but I'm having a good dinner, and this is the only place I can put my phone. That is my fried potatoes, by the way. We've got a bit of a problem. So, basically, I listened to Alan's narration. And while it's good and it made me smile a lot, he has this naturally very dramatic tone, which is like more, I would describe it like an announcer. Like in circuses, the ringmaster, the very booming kind of like announcer-y sounding, just natural way of talking. And while the accents were really good, and he characterized a couple of the people in the Jamestown era, like, really, really well, and he gets the Japanese accent really well for a non-Japanese native speaker, but that announcery tone is just not the right fit for the genre, and I feel like he'd be really, really good with hardcore sci-fi with a lot of alien species and things, where he can create these fictional voices and have that like fun, energetic, very announcery kind of tone, that's also very like loud and stuff like that. It's just not a good fit for Immortal. Immortal is a very serious kind of book. It's a historical fiction. It does have romance and love, and it does have action and adventure. It does have some funny moments, but it's just not the right tone. The overall tone is very grounded, very realistic, very serious. And so
as politely as possible, I sent him an email and told him that, and basically suggested some examples of like what I was more like what the book really needs, and this seemed to upset him very much, and he got a little blunt. I would say I considered it kind of rude, but I understand where he's coming from, so I tried, and I'm trying not to take it personally. So I replied back as politely as I can, but there were a couple of issues that I needed to put my foot down on, so to speak. I'm gonna bring you guys back over here. Sorry about the bad lighting. The primary one being, he talked about how as the author, I just need to let go and let him take the direction however he wants. And while I get that to a point, but in working with professionals like Timothy, which I have an interview with him here on this channel, so you guys can check it out. Timothy is an absolute pro and is an Audible ACX pro, if you will. It is still the author's book, and therefore the characters should have the voice, the story should have the overall tone, especially, that the author wants, that the book was intended to have. And I didn't get picky with the character voices. Most of them were okay, or halfway decent. It literally was just the overall tone, which was that announcer kind of overly dramatic way, which is funny, but it's just not immortal. It's not the genre, it doesn't fit. And so, while I understand where he's coming from to a point, that was the air conditioner coming on. For some reason, it scared the crap out of me. I think he's taking it a little bit too far, wanting me to just let him do whatever he wants. And I'm not trying, like, I'm not being picky or anything, but the tone at least has to match the genre. It's like the cover, even if you created, like, a beautiful cover, if it doesn't match the genre, if you had, like, a really serious, like, dark, you know, an empty alleyway street at nighttime with, like, blood on the walls or something, with a mysterious figure in the background, and that was, like, a thriller, that works really well for the thriller. But what if you had a really lighthearted, cozy romance, you know, that needed, like, light colors and, you know, a couple walking on a beach in the daytime? Like, you know, there is a certain thing about matching the genre, whether you're talking about the narrator, the narration, and the way the audiobook sounds and comes off, or you're talking about covers. And it's just, we've lost a potato. So I don't know where to go from here. Give me a moment, I'm having a lot of issues. Okay, I almost burned all my potatoes. I forgot to put butter in it. So, I did have olive oil, but that's beside the point. So, yeah, I don't know where I stand. After I heard his thing and I emailed him, I basically went through Audible ACX and just messaged all the narrators I could find that had the right tone that I was looking for, that do have within the genres that I'm looking for. I've gotten a couple of messages back already, and most of them said no, they were already booked, and one let me know his rating, and I had mentioned that this will be royalty share. So basically, I just don't think that anybody's going to do it for royalty share. That is what the book needs, basically, and I'm just bummed. I really did like Matthews, so I guess I'll email him probably when I give it a couple of days to see how these other narrators respond, and let him know and see if he's willing to work with me on things, because he got the characterization and the tone perfect, pretty much. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Kind of depressed about it, but I'm going to cook my fried potatoes and get distracted and not worry about it right now, and I'll check in with you guys later. And I'm sorry about the bad lighting, but I hope you're still, like, listening, willing to, like, listen and watch this video, since, you know, it's kind of important and really dramatic. So hey guys, I am literally a mess right now. So this is for Immortal's audiobook, and I'm not sure what day it is. I didn't bother to look or try to figure it out. I just threw my hair up, and I've been this is me work mode without trying to film anything. And there's been a lot of developments in the Immortal audiobook. So quick summary, after I got the auditions from Alan, I politely told him that it was kind of a more overly dramatic tone than what Immortal needs. Immortal's very serious, very broody and grounded and realistic. That's more of like a YA sci-fi kind of sound. And he seemed very upset with that and was kind of rude. And so I tried to, he basically was stating that I need to let it go and leave the direction to him. And I politely told him I'm the author. And while I'm not going to like sit there and just like nitpick every little thing, like there are certain things like the tone needs to fit the genre and stuff like that. So we went back and forth for a little while. And he eventually did re-audition and tried something different, but it's just, I think that's how he just normally reads, and it just doesn't fit the genre. I haven't emailed him back yet because I don't exactly know how to basically let him down, and I want to be as polite and sensitive as possible. And in the meantime, I also was still getting auditions from other people. So when ACX canceled the contracts and reviewed the books and put Immortal and Mortal back up, I was actually starting to get more auditions from Immortal, which surprised me. So let me pull up ACX here. So I really loved Matthew White. His audition was amazing. And if I get permission from him to include his audition in there, I'll play a clip of it. But this particular part that I'm thinking of, like, he did the accents, he did everything really good. I basically just loved his audition in general. But I was still getting auditions, and so I was kind of holding out because I had a few narrators message me. And then I received on September 14th, it's the 15th, so no, actually it was I received one audition for Mortal from this one narrator, and I really loved how he sounded with Mortal on September 12th. So for reference, it's September 15th right now. So on the 12th, I got one. His name is Anthony Michael Malik. And Anthony, he sounded so good with Mortal. I messaged him, explained the situation, explained the companions and how the books work and all that stuff, and asked him if he would be willing to audition for Immortal, because one, I need to hear his voice with that book. I need to hear, that one has dialogue. The first chapter, the audition for Mortal, has no dialogue. This one has character voices, so he said he could get to it in a couple days, so it took him 2 days, and he got back to me on September 14th, submitted his audition for Immortal, and I loved it. His voice was amazing. And so I listened to it, and yesterday, and I messaged him letting him know about the voices and being able to record the voices beforehand and, touch bases with him and everything. And I sent him that email last night. And so he got back to me this morning confirming that, yes, he'd be okay with all of this and that we can get started. And so this morning I sent him he needed the manuscript, the pronunciation guide, and the character guide. And I sent that to him in an email this morning because he said that he could work on it today. And so I didn't want to wait till my evening where I normally would have. And I wanted to send it as soon as possible, but I told him I will accept the contract when I have more time, because you have to fill out this information. And I needed to tell Matthew White, Michael White's my husband. I needed to tell Matthew White that I chose another narrator before I accepted a contract with another narrator, because that would be rude to me and disrespectful to Matthew, because I would just accept the contracts and then Mortal and Immortal would just disappear on ACX, and it would just be rude. So I wanted to have a chance to form an email to politely tell Matthew my decision, and then ask Matthew if he'd be willing to work with me on the next Valiant book, because I still love his voice. So I sent that email, and I got on ACX, and I was getting ready to accept the contracts for Mortal and Immortal. And by the way, the same day, last night, I also got another audition for Immortal from this Eric J. Schmidt guy. And if I get permission to show to have you guys listen to his, I really did like his. Anthony was better, but the Native American section, he genuinely sounds like a real Native American, and that's really hard for most of the narrators haven't been able to do that. Anthony did a really good job, and he does it subtle enough that it doesn't sound like a caricature, which a lot of times if you try to do a Native American accent, that's how it ends up sounding, just because. But this guy nailed it to the point where I was like, I wonder if he's actually a Native American, person. But in the end, the rest of it, Anthony did do better. And so I still stuck with my Anthony decision. That was last night's little thing. And again, I messaged Anthony this morning. So tonight I got on ACX to accept the contracts, and I had a new audition for Immortal. And I was just planning to listen to it real quick before I accepted the contracts, not expecting anything. And this is Aristotle Duque. if I get permission from him to share his and Anthony Michael's, I will play the two. And now I'm literally torn and I don't know what to do, because I have essentially sent an email to Anthony sending him Immortals manuscript, telling him let's get started, because I did not expect another audition to come in, and I hadn't accepted the contracts yet because, again, I wanted time to message Matthew, and I did. And as soon as I got on ACX to accept the contracts for Anthony, I listened to this one from Aristotle, and he clicked with me. Like, he sounds like Jace. Anthony is amazing and did such a fantastic job. It's literally just that Aristotle just did it a little bit better, and I don't know what to do because I don't want to hurt Anthony, and I really want to be respectful to all of these narrators, and this is the part I hate about this the most. It's just, as the author, like, you have to choose the narrator that's right for the book, and several of the narrators, I think Matthew was one of them, told me that, and so reassuring me that they respect my decision. It's okay, you have to do what's best for the book. And with Matthew, I think it'll work out because he's also working on other projects right now, so he wouldn't have been able to get started until October anyway. So I don't think, and he was also like, I'll respect your decision. He's been reiterating that, so I think Matthew's going to be fine. But I don't want to break Anthony's heart because it's like we've already kind of got the ball rolling, just not formally on ACX. And I need to let him know as soon as possible, and I don't know what to do. And you guys listening, by the time you guys are watching this, I will have made my choice. Basically, at 7:55, that's what I'm dealing with right now. So I'm having some IBS trouble, and then my husband was going to take me out tonight, I think. We hadn't really talked about it. So I need to figure this out, think this through, figure out what I'm doing, and I will check in with you guys later and keep you guys updated on what in the heck is happening. Okay, so I somehow lost my clips of the next things that happened. I did record a few clips, but of when I chose the narrator and I was doing the 15-minute checkpoint. So it was a really hard decision, but in the end I chose Aristotle just because he captured Jace and I really clicked with him and it felt like the right choice in my heart, which was kind of an ironic thing. And I let down Anthony and it was very cordial. I don't think anybody was upset from what I remember because this is editing Joanna a year later, trying to recap things. And so Aristotle and I started working very close together, and out of all the ones that I had worked with so far in this vlog, and in this process of Immortals audiobook, I worked really closely with him, and we would message, I think on Discord, and like we would do voice calls, and we just got to work in, and he got me the 15-minute checkpoint going through all of the character voices and dialogue. I actually still have clips that I'm not going to use on here of those due to the circumstances that happened, but basically he quit on me as well. And I don't know, I was just so devastated that I ended up vlogging vlogging about it, and I cried in the vlog, and I kind of just quit, and I gave up, and I stopped vlogging about it for a long time. So the next clip you're about to see picks up right where that left off. Not right when that left off, but a little bit after that. Hey guys, so I don't remember when the last time I vlogged about Immortals audiobook was. I do remember, I'm making me some hot chocolate, so if you hear any noises, that's what I'm doing. I'm multitasking. I do remember that when the narrator I chose, named Aristotle, quit on me, I was devastated, and I think that might have been the last time I vlogged because I cried in the vlog, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. So, that, I don't know when that was. That's been months ago. It is now November 25th. I'm gonna take you with me to let my dog out. I have a light attached to my phone now. So, sorry about the weird lighting though. But anyways, so it's now November 25th. It's been a long time and I have a lot to catch you up on. So, it's cold outside. We're gonna go back into the kitchen and wait for my hot chocolate. So, basically, Aristotle quit on me. And I'm not gonna talk bad about anyone or anything, especially since that's his stage name. But the gist of what I understand is that he seemed like he was in college, never done a narrated before. This would be his first book that he would be narrating, and he needs to focus more on his college, and it was like too big of a project, and he needs to dedicate more time to actually focusing on his career, an actual job. I mean, narrating is an actual job, but what he's going to do instead of
to me it seemed like Audiobook was like a side hustle for him. And so this is mixed based on what he told me, which was a little bit vague, mixed with what I'm assuming. So he quit on me, and to be honest, it was kind of dirty, in my opinion, no offense. And he did apologize and show remorse, so that was good. But it definitely screwed me over, because I'd already chosen a narrator. The first one, I don't even remember that guy's name. That one was really bad because I'd went over all the details with narrator number 1, explained everything to him. And then he basically changed his mind because it was too big of a project for royalty share, which is fine, but also you're going to be getting royalties from my book for the rest of your life and for the rest of however long it's up there. So to me, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I do get that they're not compensated. And then Aristotle, of course, quit on me. So I was devastated. And I remember when I hired Aristotle, I told him about how my first narrator quit on me, so I would need him to commit to it. And he said yes. And I also told him, I also was kind of joking, like, okay, I'm choosing you over this other narrator that I like. So if I reject him, I'm accepting you. And that basically means I need you to commit because I'm choosing you over somebody else. And I was like, and in my head, I was like, well, there's no way that you're going to have 2 narrators quit on you in one book. And that was my thought process. Joke's on me, because that's exactly what happened. After, of course, that happened to me with Assassin as well, which was the last audiobook that I did because it got delayed due to my first narrator for Assassin quitting on me. Because basically I did Hunter, Shifter, Samurai, and Assassin, and Rogue, and Assassin got delayed, so Rogue actually finished first, because the first narrators quit. I don't actually think I have enough hands for all of this. Hold on a minute. Okay. Because that narrator, Ethan, got the whole audiobook recorded and then couldn't fix it. Couldn't fix the mistakes in it, and therefore he quit. He had to quit because I didn't want like a flawed audiobook. So Ethan quit on me, but then I found Brandon, who did Assassin, and so I finished up Assassin last. So I just kind of dealt with that and was getting Assassin finished, finalized. And then, of course, the first guy that I hired for Immortal quit. And then I hired Aristotle, told him about the first guy and how I needed him to commit and everything. Aristotle kind of agreed. Well, he didn't kind of, he actually did agree. And he told me that he'd be committed and everything. And then we were actually working well together. And then he just randomly quit on me one day. And I was absolutely devastated. So keep in mind, every time that I did this, I made contracts with the first guy and I made contracts with Aristotle. Hey, my dog's being bad. So each time you do that, I had to contact ACX, explain to them, hey, my narrator's quitting on me, and they have to get confirmation from the narrators, even though it was their idea, which was great because Aristotle, like, he contacted them and was really fast. The first guy took forever, even though it was his idea to quit. And so then you have to wait for them to cancel the contract, and then the book is given back to you. I mean, it's still yours, but then you have to submit it back to them to review it before they put it back on ACX to draw in more auditions. So essentially it takes a while to even get it restarted. So then I just started over from zero, and I was so frustrated with this process that I kind of just gave up. So during this time, Aristotle apologized. He offered to message the other narrators that I rejected and explain the situation to them, but I went ahead and cut contact with Aristotle. We never contacted each other again, and I contacted the other narrators myself, explained the situation, and one of them couldn't do it. He kind of understood my situation, but he just couldn't do it. And then the other one that I liked, I ended up actually not contacting him because I still like his voice for another book. And then my friend Kimmy, she basically is visually impaired, so she can't see very well, and she is basically losing her sight, and so she listens to a lot of audiobooks, and so because of that, her husband reads to her, and I have been giving her tips and advice about audiobook narration, basically because her husband's going to get started at it. And so this was going on in the background throughout all of this.
This was going on in the background throughout all of this process. And so we had been talking about the situation, and she offered, like, she was at the same time, her husband was needing samples to put up on his ACX profile. And so I told her that he could use one of my books. And so when she found out about this, we basically started talking back and forth, and her husband offered to do Immortal, and I explained the whole situation, that I need somebody to commit and everything. And so it took him a while, but he did audition, and I liked his sound and everything. But at the same time, I was talking with Brandon, who had just finished up Assassin, and we were starting to work on Assassin's Short Companion Victorious, and I told him my situation, and I don't remember if he offered or if I asked, but basically he and I decided to work together again on Immortal and have him do Immortal. And the reason why I didn't do this originally is because I wanted each book in the Valiant series has a different narrator, because they're about a different character. And since Brandon is the voice of Aiden, I didn't want him to be the voice of Jace as well. But circumstances being what they are, I felt like it was important to work with a professional. He's also upgrading his equipment, and he's learning a lot more and everything, on top of the fact that I've worked with him before. I know how he works. He knows how I work. He knows my writing style. He knows the series and the stories. He also is very, very good. I actually interviewed him on my channel. I'll pop that video up here. So right after we did that interview is when I contacted him and we agreed. And he agreed to help me. And so he works well with me. We work well together. And because we've worked before, I know I can trust him. And at this point, having two narrators quit on me in one book with Immortal, my book baby, on top of having it happen to Assassin, which ironically is how I found Brandon in the first place, he understands that I've been through this before. Like, he was the second narrator because the first one quit for Assassin. So we agreed to work together. And keep in mind, this is weeks, months passing, and in the time I released Immortal, and I had to delay the main, I chose to go ahead and release the main book, and just the audiobook will come out whenever. So this dropped my dream of being able to release the audiobook with the main book, because I kept trying to delay it and everything. And then when I canceled the contract and had to put it back up, it was Immortal for some reason was up for a little while, and so it started accidentally drawing in auditions even after I chose Brandon and decided to just go with who I could trust. And also I know Brandon's voice, so I know he can make the voice sound good. And ironically, he was doing the short story companion to Assassin, which is called Victorious, and in that scene Aiden meets some of the Chosen, and one of the characters he meets is Jace. So Aiden and Jace talk to each other, and Brandon was already voicing that because this is Aiden's story. And so me and him had already talked about Jace's voice, so the irony is that he had to find a voice for Jace anyway. And that allowed him and me the opportunity basically to make sure that Aiden and Jace had a different voice, since they're talking to each other in the scene anyway. And so because of that, I also got to hear how he would do Jace's voice, and that just kind of solidified everything, that I just need to work with somebody I can trust who also has a really, really good voice. I love listening to him. Assassin is one of my older books that I haven't loved for a long time until I listened to Brandon, and now as I was listening to Victorious, it actually made me want to listen to it again. And that's crazy because I was really bored with Assassin, and like I've read it so many times, but just listening to it, I love Brandon's voice. And so I want that for Immortal, and I want somebody good for Immortal, and also somebody I can trust. My trust was so broken over this that I'm actually scared of the audiobook process now, and it stresses me out because I've had 3 narrators quit on me, 2 of which was just for Immortal, and it's heartbreaking, on top of the fact that I've had a lot of narrators treat me very rudely just because they frown upon some of them, not all of them. Some of them just see royalty share as like charity work almost, and I've just been treated kind of lowly because of that, like, oh, I don't have time for that right now. And I get it, but like at the same, and that you're not getting compensation up front, but you're also getting, and I get that some will take advantage of that, and it's horrible, and they should not. But for people like me who actually are not taking advantage of it, I'm putting forth effort and time and money and all that stuff into marketing and, selling the audiobook, basically, making sure that it sells. You're getting a portion of my royalties for the rest of however long it's for sale. So So yeah, but then Mortal was drawing in a few auditions, so I had a few that sounded okay, so I wanted to give those guys a fair chance, and I did, and waited for them to audition for Immortal, because at the time we had already accepted the contract for Immortal. Okay, hold on. My video got done rendering, so it automatically started playing. Anyway, so at the time, we had already accepted the contract for Immortal, but Mortal was accidentally still up and available, and I didn't know about it, neither did Brandon. And that's what was drawing in auditions, and I liked their sound for Jace in Mortal. And so I wanted to email them and give them a fair chance to audition for Immortal. None of them panned out, and so I just finished listening to a Victorious from Brandon, and we're getting ready to get started at Immortal. I didn't have the energy to vlog about it. I wasn't excited. It's just been a stressful process. I've been very upset. It broke my trust. It ruins the enjoyment of working on audiobooks for me. I got kind of excited and stuff when I was talking with Kimmy and working back and forth with her, and so I'm hoping that me and her husband can still work together for another book. It's just with Immortal, I need a professional that I can trust, that I've worked with before, to just go through this process. And of course, Brandon has many audiobooks under his belt. He's been narrating for years, so also he's a professional who's also willing to work with me through Royalty Share. He's treated me really well. We work well together. I've interviewed him, so we've talked personally, like through a video chat type thing. We have a good system for how we work together, and he's also very patient. We had quite a few back and forths as we fixed the audiobook for Assassin. He also just upgraded his equipment. He was very sympathetic to my situation, and he genuinely cares, and he is such a good man. He's such a good guy. He's such a good narrator. He's very good at characterization, even with just Victorious, because in the short companions, it's where the chosen from the previous books kind of interact with the other ones who have been chosen. So you have characters that were narrated by other narrators, basically, that this narrator, for whatever chosen they're coming from, has to figure out how to voice, like Akari. Well, she was narrated by Colleen, and obviously Brandon's not Colleen, but now he has to come up with a voice for her, and Nisi and Jared and all that stuff. So spoilers for the Valiant series, but whatever. And so he's very good at characterization, and his voice for Jace was amazing. So that's basically where I'm at with Immortal's audiobook. I will let you guys know. I just emailed him and uploaded the document to Immortal to ACX, emailed him, sent him the character guide and the glossary. Like with the previous two narrators, the first step I want to do is the 15-minute checkpoint instead of being the first 15 minutes of the book, going through the character guide and making sure that we have all the voices together first, because if there's a voice that's not correct or needs to be adjusted, it's going to be harder to do that with the whole book put together, or narrated or edited or recorded or whatever the word is. And so it'd be easier to do that first. We'll see what Brandon says and how he responds and everything. So I needed somebody I can trust. My trust has been broken, and I really was somebody who has loved the process of searching for a narrator and getting auditions and putting my books up there and listening to it for the first time. And now it's ruined the process for me, to be honest, and I don't like it, and I'm scared, and I will continue to have to do it, but it's more of like I have to do it instead of something that I'm excited to do. I also have a marketing plan for the Kickstarter for special edition hardbacks for all of the Valiant series. I have the regular hardback that I did for Immortal and also the Omnibus, but the special edition hardbacks for each of the individual books are going to be different, and I'm hoping that those Kickstarters for each individual book, like Hunter special edition hardback, Shifter special edition hardback, so on and so forth, I'm hoping that those will provide the money to pay for the audiobooks outright, so I can try other things besides just ACX. That's a whole nother thing and a whole nother video for a whole nother time. So I will check in with you guys next time, because this has been interesting, to say the least, but I wanted to update you guys because it's November 25th, and I'm pretty sure this was like back in August, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while. So yeah, I will check in with you guys when I have something new to talk about. Hey guys, and welcome to another video. So I think this is day 15 of Immortal's audiobook. I checked, and the last one I had was day 14, and it was like November and December of 2024. It is actually now February 27th, 2025, and I don't know basically the last thing that I said, so if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But after Aristotle quit, I
talked to Brandon and got him. He is the narrator of Assassin's audiobook, and in Assassin's short story companion, which he also narrated because it's from Aiden's perspective. The character from Assassin named Aiden actually talks with the character Jace, and they interact. So for that, he still had to figure out Jace's voice, and so it worked out really well when he agreed to do Immortal, because he already had Jace's voice figured out. And the main concern with hiring him was that, well, he already has like he already is a narrator, and I don't want them to get like Jace and Aiden to get mixed up. But the fact that they had a scene together coincidentally in the short companion to Assassin worked out, because he was able to distinguish between them as they talked. And so ever since then, he has been working behind the scenes. We haven't communicated very much because I got busy, he got busy. He was upgrading his equipment, working on his Japanese and Chinese accents, and just kind of working behind the scenes. And so he just now got me the 15-minute checkpoint for Immortal, which I did this document here, which has a list of all of the characters and a bit of dialogue from each one, so that I can hear what he sounds like, so we can get the character voices figured out now rather than as we record the book, because once it's recorded, it'll be harder to fix them. So now if I hear something like, hey, this character is supposed to sound a little bit more like this, he can adjust it and have it ready for the main book. So I figured I would take you guys through the process. I haven't heard this. I'm just now opening it up. I don't know why my nose is so pink. So yeah, let's do this. I'm so excited. He is a very talented narrator. And as you guys could see, it is 30 minutes long, even though the 15-minute checkpoint is just originally supposed to be the first 15 minutes of the book. So he goes far above and beyond everything. And like, after all the trouble that I've had, I really just needed to find someone that I trusted. And so working with him has honestly really helped. Has really helped me feel a lot more like at ease and stuff like that. It's been difficult, the process has, but like, okay, we're gonna do that. And then, so the whole process has just been difficult. So having Brandon has really helped me. So we're gonna turn this up. Enjoy.
Tarek scoffed. If he spills it, it is because he's a dog that hasn't been properly trained.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. Although it's gonna seem seamless for you, it has been a while for me. So this is day 16 of Immortal's audiobook. The last time I did a video was February 27th. I actually had to go look, and it is May 4th. Scratch that. It is May 3rd for me, because it's 1:30 in the morning and I haven't gone to bed yet. So it's May 3rd. So it's been February 27th. So it's been all of March and all of April pretty much, with a couple of days here and there. So I think the last video I did, I went through the 15-minute checkpoint from Brandon, which was going through all the voices, making sure they were all good. We had kind of radio silence for a while in March and April. I had 2 different editing clients, and I started writing 2 different books, and I was kind of editing books 1 and 2 of the same series I was writing in, my military romantic suspense called the Hearts of Valor series. So I had a lot going on, so I hadn't contacted him or anything. And I recently, like a week or 2 ago, I finished one client, and then like a week after that, I finished editing for my second client. And then I got Survivor back, another book in the Valiant series. So I've been editing it, my round 2. And yesterday I finished writing book 4 in the series, and the day before that I'd finished book 3. So essentially I finally finished up all of my work, and other than editing Survivor, I am free. I may start writing another book, but I actually... Hey guys, and welcome to another video. So I actually realized that I had gotten in this historical mood, and I was thinking about Immortal, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't actually contacted Brandon in a while. So I emailed him, took him a couple of days to get back to me, and I was starting to have a lot of anxiety, not because of Brandon, but just because of my horrible experience with this process, going through narrators. Like, I trust Brandon 100%. It's just, I was really nervous about things, and not getting to hear from him just gave me some anxiety. But I finally heard back from him a couple of days ago. He said that he was going to be uploading some files, and he's choosing to do it where he's going to upload a few at a time. I've had narrators that do it either way. And while I like to listen to the book all at once because I have the whole context of the story, I mean, it's my story, so it's not like I need much context, that does create a huge thing where it's like I have this 20-hour book I have to listen to in and amongst my regular schedule, and it takes a lot of time because I am listening for mistakes as well, so that's kind of like editing the audiobook, so to speak. So it does put a huge workload, so it does lessen the workload if we do it bits and pieces at a time. But that night I didn't see anything uploaded, so I checked in with him the next day, and he said that he'd sent I was like, hey, did you send them? Because I haven't seen anything pop up. And he's like, yeah. And then I checked that morning when he had gotten back to me, which was, I think, yesterday morning or today. I don't know. It's starting to blur together now. Either way, I checked, and they were there. I just haven't had time to listen to them yet. So, basically my structure for this, I'm going to be listening using the computer, on here, ACX, which is Audible's self-publishing platform. So I'm going to pull it up and play the recordings via ACX, because when I've tried to download them to my computer, it just hasn't worked before. And I'm going to follow along using the hardback. Ever since I got this hardback, my dream has been to use it to go through the audiobook. So I'm very excited. This is the Kickstarter edition hardback, not a regular one. So I'm going to go through it. I'm going to have a Word document pulled up here. So as I listen, if I hear a mistake, I will write down the timestamp, the mistake, and then I will pull up the PDF to mark down the page number, because I sent him the PDF, and like the hardback page numbers are not going to be the same. And so to avoid confusion, I'm going to be like, hey, page 22, this and this. So I'm going to pull that up just so I have that up. But due to the nature of how long this has taken us and how much work he still has to go, I am only going to mark down changes if they are drastic, like audiobook mistakes. Like before, I would make sure that like every word actually lined up with I've like listened to a few audiobooks nowadays, and by mainstream authors, and it genuinely hasn't been like word for word. You'd be surprised how many differences there are. It's not bad. I don't know if like maybe I'm the picky one and I'm OCD, or it's like that whole I'm a self-published author, so everything has to be perfect kind of mentality that we kind of sometimes get into. But essentially I was like over picky with having everything match exactly. And at this point, I just want to have the audiobook done and have it be high quality and very good to listen to for people. So I'm not going to be super picky. Again, if it's like a mistake, like that's obvious, then yes, obviously. So I think, yeah, so Immortal ebook PDF. So essentially I'll have this here. I'll give myself a bookmark. Immortal PDF will be here. So that way when I see a mistake, I can pull it up, get the page numbers. ACX, I'll be playing the files via here. That's really good English. So it was supposed to be done in April, but that was just like a far away deadline I set because I didn't want him to feel pressured. So yeah, we've got, looks like all the way to May 11th. So, through Jamestown, essentially the Jamestown era, which it is exciting. We're getting started. This has been my dream ever since I started this process of publishing Immortal last year. Has it been last year already, you guys? Like, what the heck? Oh my gosh, that's insane. I have been dying to hear this story, and I went through 3 narrators. Has it been 3? Has it been 4? Is this the 3rd? I went through 2 narrators, didn't I? It's been so long I don't remember. I just remember the trauma. I think it was 2, and Brandon's the 3rd for 1 book. Like, that is an insane amount, and part of me was like, this isn't gonna happen. So this is special, and this is a dream, and honestly, getting to read it with my hardback is so special. I'm so excited. So when we went to South Dakota to the Crazy Horse Monument, it was a huge inspiration for this book, and when I was like rewriting and editing it. So that is my souvenir. So this is going to be my bookmark throughout this process. So all right. Now I don't know how fast he is going to be getting chapters up. Also it's 1:30. I don't really want to go past 2:30. So if it takes me longer, it looks like it's 16 minutes, and then we got a couple of 2-minute recordings. We got a 19-minute one, so hopefully an hour will be fine. So yeah, I'm just gonna, you guys want to hear the first bit with me? Okay, it's, okay, the acknowledgements page. We're going to skip that for just half a second. Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Okay, I actually want you guys to hear Jace, so.
January 1607. Somewhere across the Atlantic.
Oh my God.
While this ship has been a safe haven for me, our voyage has demanded much of our time and endurance. We set sail a month ago in December, the 5th, I think. Already we have been on the sea for several weeks, and tensions remain high.
Oh my God, guys, I'm in love. I'm in love. I'm in love. I actually want to cry because it just, oh, it sounds like Jace. It's Jace. And like, people say like that, you know, bad things happen and they turn into good and God turns it around for good. And it may sound cliche, but it's really true because I really did have to go through the narrators that I went through and all of that heartache. Like, I remember I thought I was filming one video and I almost cried, or I shut the camera off. Like, I just bawled my eyes out because I was so heartbroken that my favorite book that I spent literally as long on this story and its companion as I did on the rest of the series. I spent 7 years writing this book. I spent 7 years writing the main series, approximately. So it was heartbreaking that I wasn't going to be able to do the process, that the narrators quit on me, and like some of the way that it happened with them was heartbreaking to me. And so I didn't think it was going to happen. And so to hear it, like, he's already given me a sample. I mean, I heard the 15-minute checkpoint. I did that with you guys. But to hear it, knowing that this is going to be the audiobook that readers hear, is making me really emotional right now. And it's so, I can't even acknowledge the special, like, this feels so special to me. The feeling of holding Hunter in my hands for the first time, I will never forget that. The feeling of holding Immortal in my hands for the first time and getting to see it in my hands. And this is another milestone and another marker, and I'm so excited and I can't wait for this. And it really, really is a good book. It's a heartbreaking, tragic, but also beautiful, romantic, action-packed, like, story of love and endurance and strength and pushing and fighting through no matter how much you go through. And it actually is kind of fitting that the audiobook had so much trouble and so much struggle, because honestly, that's what this book has always been about. And so please go buy the book. Like, you guys are really gonna enjoy this book. It's got a little bit of everything for everybody in it. Or you could wait till the audiobook comes out. If it is, I'll put it in the description below. Also, shout out to Brandon. Like, he did Assassin's audiobook. And Assassin's short story companion, which is Victorious. And in that one, the character from Assassin, Aiden, interacts with Jace. Just a little heads up. So, and he had to do Victorious anyway. And so that was how we actually discovered, like, he could actually voice Jace because he's already doing it anyway, and be able to make it different. Because originally I had different narrators for every person, and so I hadn't thought of Brandon because I didn't want to copy and do the same voice, the same narrator for multiple characters, but he was distinguishing between them anyway. So, and I also did an interview with him on this channel, so I'll have that pop up here as a card. Please go watch it and show him your guys' support because he deserves it, and all the other narrators too. I've interviewed Timothy, who did Hunter, so shout out to him as well. And I'll have that here as a card too. So anyways, I'm going to listen from the beginning. I'm going through the acknowledgements and all of Jamestown. This is going to be brutal. This is going to be emotional. And I have my heart back. I'm so excited. All right, guys. Check in with you guys later. Can't believe I forgot about this. I opened it up and I'm like, I gotta show you guys this. I forgot. Jace's chibi art. Ah, isn't that so cute? Okay, seriously, I gotta do this now. Hey guys, so it's 2:40, so I went 10 minutes over, but that's okay. So I just finished all of the things he uploaded. I'm excited for the next one. I forgot that the next one's actually a pretty big section because it combines like 3 different eras, I believe. So yeah, it's like page, let's see, 29
all the way 29 to 98. So I imagine it's going to take him a little bit to record this next section, although I can't wait. I'm expecting it to be a couple of hours long, but I don't actually know. So all of the mistakes that I found were pronunciations of the names. So, and I don't remember if he didn't ask or I didn't give or whatever the case was, but the glossary and the character guide, I thought I had pronunciations in there, but it's fine. So the Roseanne Jasnell, her last name, Nasan, was wrong. A lot of people say Nason, it's Nasan. And then Tarak is my fault, and I'm still debating about this one. It's spelled Tarik. I'll put it here on the screen. And everybody sees it, and it looks like Tariq. And that's how it looks. That's what it is. I'm the one in the wrong. But ever since I created the name, he's always been Tarak. And I don't know if I can stand listening to the entire audiobook hearing the name Tariq all over again. Like over and over again and stuff. So I did note where I heard that at. So there wasn't too many instances, 3 in one chapter and 4 in another. And then Jasnell was only used 3 times. There was one name where he said Magoichi wrong, but then he said it right the next sentence. So, and then Nasan was used, looks like twice. So, and then the only mistake that was there was he missed a word at the very, very beginning. So hopefully he won't see this as hopefully this won't be too problematic for him, because I don't want to put more work on his shoulders since he already has a lot going for him. So I'm going to let him know that, no hurry, just before the final file, this will need to be fixed kind of thing. And then I'm going to compliment him, because let me tell you guys, like, the first bit is always really emotional due to the fact that it's Jamestown and the starving time, if you know. Most of you guys probably do, especially Americans. It's a very emotional time. I have edited this story a lot, so I wasn't expecting to still actually get feels. Like, I still do, because it's Jace, it's immortal, it's my book baby more so than even Hunter. But the level of feels, like, I was almost in tears, like, because of his performance. His voice performance is phenomenal. Oh my gosh, like, this is the man, the narrator, who actually got me to like my book Assassin. I wrote Assassin so long ago that it was just a book, and I never really felt anything for it. It was a fan favorite on Wattpad. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves Aiden. I never got it. I was like, okay, I get it. You guys love Aiden. You guys love Assassin. That's fine. But I was not part of the Aiden fan club until I heard Brandon's performance. And it made me fall in love with the character completely. So Brandon's amazing. So I'm going to send him an email, and I'm done for the night. So I will check in with you guys. Probably. I'm not expecting this for at least a month. So if I get it sooner than that, that would be wonderful. But I will check in with you guys the next time. Yeah. So I think this is Immortal Audiobook Day 17, but it's been a month. So I think the last time that I vlogged, if I'm looking at my stuff correctly, was May, 16th, and it is June 27th. So Brandon and I have been talking every once in a while. I check in with him. He had a lot going on. I had a lot going on. And he wasn't able to get the next part done until now. He did some equipment. He redid the other ones. I think he went to fix the things that I caught for the first ones during the Jamestown era. We also ran into a little snag where the origin story, which is Egypt and Joppa and Rome combined into one section. I don't know why I did that, but I did. It's 4 hours long. And KDP only lets you do 2. So I had to split it into 3 parts. So it'll be slightly different than like the
the book, just in the sense that like it's going to be split into different chapters, and it'll just say origin story part 1, part 2, and part 3, and then the next letter. So guess what I get to do though, because he just uploaded all 3 parts, which means I get to listen to Rome, and that's been one of my dreams, and I was so excited. So I will give you guys a little bit of a snippet. Okay, let's start over, because I had to turn the air off because I could not hear.
Broken tablet. 71 BC. Unknown location. Turek. Eshi. Slave. Slaughter. Orbs. Bound. Magic.
I was so excited. If it sounds weird, it's because it's a tablet with hieroglyphics and they're like single word things, so realistic. But anyways, time to start. I'm so excited. So part 1's an hour and 29 minutes, and then we've got an hour and 30 minutes, and then an hour and 18 minutes. So it's probably going to take me several days, but I'm just launching in. Let's do this, y'all. Hey guys, so this is another part in my audiobook for Immortal. I don't know when the last time I vlogged about this was, but it is September 23rd for me, and it is midnight. And for the last 2 hours, I've been going through the 1580s Japan. So long story short, we had a huge hiatus because Brandon was busy. The narrator had other obligations and stuff that took priority. So we basically the pattern that we've been doing is he would send me one section, and then we would go like a month without talking, and then he would send me the next section. So he sent me these a couple of days ago, and I took about 2 or 3 days to go through the 1580s Japan section. The previous Japan arcs are like one small moment with ancient China, one small section in ancient China, which has the main girl, but it has her father and like some older, the little kids, and then like a grandmother, grandfather. Another era, her father is an older emperor. There's the one with the blacksmith, and then there's one with random samurai, but they don't have very much dialogue. So he's been doing the Japanese accents, but his Japanese accent sounds like an old man, and that's fine because again, that's been like the main girl's father in a couple of different eras, and then some random samurai that don't have very much dialogue. So the 1580s Japan arc is the first one where we have 2 young samurai that are friends that have a lot of dialogue and conversations, not just with Jace but with each other, and it was very apparent that they sound way too old, and also with the accent you lose the personality. And again, for a one-off samurai piece of dialogue here and there, it's fine, and for the older blacksmith character and her father characters, it's fine. But for these 2 guys, we lose their personality, and these are like major characters in this arc. And of course, that's going to be a problem going forward. So as I was almost finished listening to it the other day, I sent an email to Brandon about this issue, and we were debating about dropping the Japanese accents moving forward from this point forward. I talked with my cousin, I talked with a friend of mine who's an author who loves audiobooks because she's blind. So shout out to both of you guys. And so it may be a little weird having accents and then going not, but most of the eras after this one, the Japanese, the 1860s Japan, it's going to be Americas from here on out. The Lakota in the 1860s have a very different way of talking, but it's more of a cadence. So from here on forward, it'll be American accents anyway, and I feel like the personalities are more important than an accent that's still gonna inhibit them from having the emotions and the accent that they should, since there's a lot of dialogue. And so I got an email back from Brandon tonight saying that it would be much easier on him, that his Japanese accent right now is kind of a one track, like it's that one voice, and he said he's been spending the last several days trying to get the personalities in with it, but he can't. So it'll be easier to redo this chapter, the 1580s Japan, with the American accents, and then moving forward, that's what we'll do. So I told, and I had in my original email about this, I was like, if you do want to change it, if you need me to, I can mark down the timestamps of when these two characters have dialogue. And so in his reply, he said, if you could get the timestamps, I know it's going to be a lot of work, but it'll help me. So that's what I've spent the last 2 hours doing. My cousin and I did our check-in on our podcast earlier at 10 o'clock. I think it was September week 3, so I'll have that here as a card. So it was 10 o'clock and it's 12:16. I started this video 3 minutes ago, so it was about 12:11 or 12:12. So I've spent 2 hours going through the 1580s Japan arc. Fortunately, when I had started it, when I first heard the accents, they shook me so much that, like, because they sounded older, so I had started to mark down the timestamps till about 17 minutes in, and then I stopped because I was like, okay, it's going to be too tedious for him to re-record it, so I stopped. Obviously now he's okay with that because it'll be easier for him moving forward, especially with the 1580s or the 1860s Japan arc, with a lot of the characters in that one. So I just picked up where I left off and went through from the 17-minute-ish mark all the way through. And anytime that those characters talked, anytime the girl came in, because her accent sounded fine, but if they're not going to have an accent, then everybody else can't, because that would be too weird within one chapter. And then there was Oda, the leader of the clan, there was a couple of random samurai that had whole scenes with lots of dialogue. There's several different instances when a random samurai soldier would say something here and there. I marked down basically anybody that talks in a Japanese accent in this chapter. I took the timestamps down and I got all that notes to him. And I still have to send him my notes for the mistakes that I heard. Up until this point with the accent change, the only mistakes that I've been doing were blatant, ones that are, obvious, that, he, waved a smile instead of he gave a smile, actual mistakes that are going to be confusing for listeners, because I'm not being too picky, since it's a long book and we've gone through a lot. So I've been using the hardback book because I've been going through it. So that's about how far we've gotten, and this is how far we've got left to go. So we're not quite halfway yet. We reached the halfway point in the middle of the 1860s arc, but I just wanted to actually do an update because I actually have an update for you guys. So I'm going to email him back now, and then I'm going to take a break because my back is killing me from my bad posture sitting here for 2 hours. So I will check in with you guys the next time. Hey everyone, so this is another video in my Immortal audiobook. So I haven't been vlogging this thing yet. Sorry. Oof. Okay, so since the last, I don't remember if the last time I vlogged was before or after my surgery, but since the last time I really talked much about the Immortal audiobook, I've had a surgery. It's been 2 weeks, so I'm not quite to the 3-week mark yet. So I'm still hurting. If you haven't already known or heard what's going on, I talked about it in this video here. Before I talked about the Kickstarter, I explained the surgery and that stuff, so check that out if you really want the full story. But essentially, I was cut open from my waist all the way up to my belly button, so it's a big, giant cut that is still healing. And when I say cut, I don't know what else to call it, but it's a very large wound. And the last couple of days, I have been in a lot of pain. I don't know why. I don't know if it's healing more because it also has been itching. We had to clean it yesterday. And I've done a lot the last couple of days, more so than usually. And so I've been in a lot of pain the last couple of days. But I have been working on the audiobook and the Kickstarter and all the other stuff. So long story short, I had told Brandon, the narrator of the Immortal audiobook, about my surgery. So we've had this long period of time where he and I wouldn't communicate with each other, and then he would upload a chapter and then I would listen to it and follow along with the hardback, send him anything that needs to be fixed, and then we would just move on, and that was a pattern. He sent me this big email, which I appreciated a couple weeks ago, months ago, I don't know how long it's been. It was before my surgery, about how he's juggling a lot of stuff, so he talked to me about that, and I'm not going to get into the details because that's his business, but I appreciated that he was very honest with me. So we've been talking about that. So we renewed, he's promised to like renew efforts to get the audiobook done, and I didn't know how consistent he was going to be able to be at that, so I didn't want to vlog and be like, he's given me a lot of chapters, and then jinx it and have that stop. So I just didn't say anything. But we've reached the halfway point. We had to split the 1860s Japan era into 3 different chapters, just like we did with the Rome era. And so he uploaded part 1. And so because of my recovery from my surgery, what I have been doing is I changed my strategy. Number 1, I'm not being picky about the things. Like if he says the wrong word, for example, but the word he uses still makes sense, or if he changes the word order, but it still makes sense, that I'm leaving it. Because again, it's just been such a long process for him. He's doing so much work for nothing. And even though it has been severely delayed because of how busy he's been, and I've been through like 3 narrators at this point, 2 or 3. I just want to get the book done, so I'm literally not being picky at all. Like I said, I only change something if it literally doesn't make any sense, if it's an obvious glaring like mistake. I have found 2 typos, and that's after 2 different professional editors have been through it both twice, plus my own edits, so somehow we all missed them. But anyways, because I've been recovering from my surgery, the new structure, usually I would sit here at my desk, I would have the book open sitting on my desk, and then I would have a Microsoft Word document open, and I would write down the timestamp, and then the mistake and what it needs to be, and then the page number, because I would use the PDF, I would have that open, and I would play the audio files from ACX. Obviously, I haven't been able to sit at my desk until yesterday, and even then I am in a lot of pain because sitting upright kind of scrunches the wound, which honestly the writer side of me is like, well, at least I know what it feels like to get slashed open with a sword if I have a character that goes through that at some point. Writer's brain. Anyways, so what I had been doing starting, I think it was we got to the 1580s Japan, and his Japanese accent for the male voices tended to stay in this one tone, which makes him sound like an older man. And up until that point, it had only ever had older Japanese male characters or some one-off, Japanese soldier that just had a one line and that was it, and they weren't important to the story, so it could have been an older person. But when we got to the 1860s or the 1580s Japan, it was 2 younger male characters interacting with mine, so there was a lot of interactions between the 3 of them and the 2 Japanese characters, and they're younger, they're not older, so the accent didn't work. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to tweak the accent to make it sound younger, so we talked about it, discussed it back and forth, and agreed that, because after this is the 1860s Japan, and then we'll be going into the Midwest and Crazy Horse, but after that it's all pretty much America, other than on the Titanic arc, the main girl will have an Irish, kind of Scottish sounding accent. But other than that, it's America. So we both talked about it and agreed that if he drops the Japanese accent, he told me that he could really elaborate on the personalities of the characters and let that shine, and change the tone and all that stuff. So he re-recorded. So he asked me if I could mark down the timestamps, which he said I know is going to be a lot of work for you, but I told him yes. So I did that. Did I do this before or after my surgery? It was before my surgery. So I told him, so I went through and I marked down every timestamp and every instance of when those 2 characters talked to each other. We added in basically every other Japanese speaking character because it would be weird if some had an accent and some didn't. So it was a lot of work, but I got it to him. It took me several hours, but I sent that to him, and so he worked on re-recording it, and then I had my surgery. So he got me the re-recorded version of that. So my new idea was I have this comfortable spot on the couch that allows me to kind of be more this, where I'm reclined, so it keeps it straight instead of sitting upright. Imagine this is my stomach and it scrunches the wound. It allows me to sit like this and keep it all straight. My body's streamlined. So I decided to take my hardback over there. I use my phone to pull up ACX on Google Chrome on my phone, and I would play it that way and just listen to it that way. And then I had this new notebook of mine just in case I did hear something off, I could write it down, but there were no mistakes in that particular era. And so that's how the new structure of how I did it. And then of course we moved on after that. So we started the 1860s Japan, which he had to split into 3 parts. So he got me part 1. I listened to it. I didn't mark down anything for that one. I was unsure about the voices a little bit. He did the characterization so well, but one of them, Hijikata, was historically known as the demon commander, so he's very stern, and I imagined him having kind of a deeper kind of bass kind of voice, and I wasn't sure if that made him sound older or not, but I think it works for his character. And when you listen to the other guys, which have more of a tenor or a baritone kind of tone, their personalities are all very different, so you can distinguish between them, but it does kind of set him apart, and I feel like that's necessary. And so after debating, that's what I decided, which I just sent him an email. So he got me part 2 and 3 in one night, and then the letters, the poems, and the next 2 letters kind of leading up to the Midwest arc. So when I came in the other day, I was only expecting part 2, but I had part 2, part 3, and then all those other little ones leading up to the next section. So that was really fun. So I did listen to that, and with that one, I took the notebook and I did mark down the mistakes. I remembered I had forgotten to write down the timestamps, but I had looked down and I noticed like we were at 22 to 24 minutes, that range. And also when I did the previous ones, I realized I was using the page count and the page numbers from the hardback version. And so that was not because I gave him a PDF of the ebook. And so the pages were off. And so that was my mistake. It was okay. He dealt with it and figured it out. But moving forward, I knew, so I wrote all of these down. I found the exact timestamps just tonight. Like, this is what I've been doing tonight. So again, I wrote all of this down the other day when I listened to it. And then I meant to yesterday do this, but I had a lot to do with the Kickstarter. I'm preparing for a book signing on November 7th, which I may have a video about that up by the time you guys are watching this. So if so, I'll have it as a card here because it was a fun, it's been an interesting experience so far, and I'm hoping it'll be great. So I haven't had a chance to actually sit down until tonight where I could do my traditional way where I pull up a Microsoft Word document, I pull up ACX, I pull up the PDF, I have my hardback, I go through using this as a guide of like, okay, it's somewhere in the 22 to 24 minute range. It's on page, in that case, 244, 245, so I find what it was. And then I actually go in the PDF, I find it in the PDF, write down the exact page count for him, write down the exact timestamp, and I did that for these few mistakes that you see here, but that's for part 1, or part 2 and part 3. The rest of them didn't have any mistakes, and so that's not a lot. It's just mispronunciations, just because it's Japanese, like, terms and or names, so it wasn't a big deal, but they were pronounced wrong, which were more glaring mistakes than anything else that I've, like, you know, anything else that I could have just let go. So I just sent him all of that in an email, and the fun part is when I went up, when I pulled up the ACX version here on the desktop, it actually does show the next chapter is uploaded. So that means I get to listen to it. So I'm still going to keep the same structure because I can't sit here for very long. So it's easier to just listen to the whole thing via the hardback, use this notebook, write down the timestamps and the page number in the hardback. And then when I feel up to it, I can come here, sit down at my desk, and then very quickly use the notebook notes as a guide, find it on the hardback, find it on the PDF, find the exact timestamp, and then email it to him and do that. So that's been the update for the audiobook. At the same time, my narrator that I chose for my audiobook for Survivor has gotten back to me. So I haven't started vlogging about that yet. So tonight I was going to vlog about it, talk about it, go through the process, because I hadn't talked about that one because I've had so many issues with Immortal. I was like, I'm just not going to talk about it till after it's done because I didn't know if I was going to find a narrator or not. But so essentially I still have to do that tonight, but I just wanted to give you guys this update. So I'm probably going to listen to the next part of Immortal tonight and use the notebook, and then I'll come back to my desk to send it to Brandon when I can. So I'm very excited. It's so good. It made me cry. So I'm very excited, and I will check in with you guys next time. Hey guys, so this is another part in my Immortal audiobook video series, and I have exciting news. So check this out. Check this out. Oh my goodness. It's already got 1 rating. Holy moly. All right, cool.
It's for sale on Audible. So right now they're currently doing a sale. So if you don't have Audible, you may want to take advantage of that. A lot of their sales are geared toward people who have never signed up for Audible before. So I will have a link in the description below to Immortal's audiobook. Please check it out. It is so wonderful. And in the meantime, to celebrate, hopefully I've been able to use the amazing illustrations designed by moymoy13.art on Instagram to make a very special, exclusive, never before seen scene with Brandon's amazing narration, Brandon J. Peterson, with his, the narration and the visuals from the illustration and the sound, and just amazing. So stay tuned for that at the end. Watch it through to the end, and I'm excited, and yeah, I just cannot wait. So, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. So check that out. You don't want to miss it. And also, wait to the end. I have a special exclusive offer for some of you guys. So,
yesterday, I sat on a hill overlooking the prairie below me. May I join you? I looked behind my shoulder to see Crazy Horse standing there. Gesturing for him to sit, I nodded. The heat from summer already shined upon us. We both only wore a loincloth. After being in Japan and wearing kimonos, hakama, and haori for so long, wearing nothing but a loincloth took some getting used to. For a while, I felt naked, but have since grown accustomed. My skin has slowly begun to darken as well from my long hours in the sun. Eshi says she likes how I look, and I tell her every day how beautiful she looks. Despite how happy she and I feel, I find myself retreating out to the prairie alone every day. Out here, I seek God and His guidance after years of war and blood and grief. It brings me peace and helps me overcome the sorrow and desire for death. The more time I spend with Eshi, the more I fear Tarek coming here and taking her from me or hurting these people I care so deeply for. Because of that, I find it easier to retreat out alone and find peace with God. Or at least try to. The people talk of you in the way they speak of me. Crazy Horse leaned his arms over his knees and glanced at me. What do they say? As he spoke, he signed the words, a habit many of the people had. That you are quiet and often stay to yourself. They wonder if you leave to seek visions from Wankatanka. I shook my head. I haven't heard from Wankatanka in a long time, my friend. After sucking in a deep breath, I finally gathered the courage to admit the truth. I have not sought him in a long time. Your heart is heavy. Unable to answer out loud, I nodded. With a quiet sigh, he gazed out at the prairie and allowed a moment of silence to pass between us before he spoke again.
I hope you guys enjoyed that mini scene and that mini clip. Brandon J. Peterson did such a wonderful job being the narrator of Immortal. He saved me. He saved this story and the audiobook. He brings the story and the characters to life. Immortal is the most epic historical fantasy romance book that is out there. I promise you the audiobook is even better. It is so amazing. Please go check it out. The link is in the description below. Thank you guys for watching so much. And for anybody who loves to listen and review audiobooks, if you want audiobook codes specifically to review the book, then let me know. I'm currently doing an ARC team for Immortal's audiobook. So I'll have a link in the description below to a form you guys can sign out on, but please don't sign up for the audiobook codes unless you intend to listen to it and leave a review when you're finished. The review obviously needs to be honest and your honest opinion, but just please listen to it because there's a limited amount of audiobook codes, and that's what I'm supposed to use those codes for, specifically for people who are going to leave a review.
So I'll have a link to that as well. But please buy the audiobook, support the Brandon J. Peterson. That's how he's going to get paid for this, is through audiobook sales. So please check it out. You guys are going to love the story. It's a really epic historical romance. It's got all of the things, all of the feels. So yeah, you guys are going to love it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In the meantime, if you liked this vlog series about Immortals audiobook, then check out the one that I did when I got Immortals illustrations, which is also part of the little scene that you guys just saw earlier. That one was also kind of exciting and interesting, so check that out. You don't want to miss it.